All right. So I had a revelation. All right. Here's the thing. I find myself unemployed for the foreseen future for a while. And I was very sad about it. But then I thought about something. With all that free time, what could I do? What could I spend my time doing? And then it hit me. Right as I woke up, I am like, it is Tuesday. It is 9:17 in the morning, and I think the best way to deal with the day is with some good old, my beverage of choice because I'm poor, cold ones brewed here in Alberta. It is a very cheap, strongish beer. It's only like 7%. You gotta drink it colder. It kind of tastes like warm bread. Yeah, I originally planned to do this on the inside, or the outside, sorry, out there in the nature land. But then Alberta decided to do a little, fuck you. Like 2 days ago, it was like, plus like 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, and now it's like minus 20, and it feels like minus 31 because of the wind. There's like 20 centimeters of snow just falling out of the sky, man. Let me tell you, God's got a lot of dandruff up there. He needs some help. But anyway, that is my beer of choice. But we got to drink responsibly, like an adult, okay? And the best way to do that, like an adult, is to pair it with water, right? Stay hydrated. So, I have just the thing. Just the thing. There. Now, I'm responsibly drinking. We'll save that aside for the time being. We also have some cigarettes. That's right. For those of you who have caught on, I'm day drinking and smoking cigarettes. Yes, I'm that unoriginal. But the cigarettes I have chosen today, and by chosen I mean it's just the pack I had. Sue me. Is good old-fashioned Pall Mall Smooth. Isn't that just gorgeous? Isn't that just fantastic? A good time. Dare I say I'm more of a Pall Mall Bold kind of guy? Dare I say I prefer res smokes over these overly taxed government smokes? And the answer to that would be yes. A resounding yes. And, it's a Canadian pack of cigarettes when there's more cancer warnings on it than, Pfizer's medication. But that's besides the point. We're going to have ourselves a little smoke. But first, I think before we light this smoke. No, actually, cigarette first. Cigarette first. Let me just dig my good old lighter out of my fuck-ass pocket. It's been 30 seconds, right? And then once it's out of there, do it up. This little Nashville Zippo lighter my mother got me several years ago. It tastes like the government's trying to kill me faster than I'm trying to kill myself. Hey, you guys see they came out with a cure for lung cancer? Weird. Now, dare I say it is time for beer. So let's just crack her open. Give her a little smell. Smells like beer. Give her a little taste. And it tastes like everything is just all better. So now I got a story for you guys. All right. Now before I woke up this morning with one of the single greatest ideas I've ever not come up with, which is what I'm doing in this video. Sue me. I fell asleep last night. I was drinking beer. I wasn't drunk. I had like 1 or 2 beers. But I was really tired. It was like 9 o'clock at night. I wake up very early. So that's my tired time. That's when I go tuck, fall asleep. All right? Now here's the problem with that. I had a beer in my hand when I just kind of passed out watching YouTube because I'm a degenerate. And then I proceeded to wake up at about midnight and realize what had happened. And now there's just beer all over my mattress and all over my clothes. So naturally, I just went to a cabinet, got like 70 towels, laid them on my bed, and worried about it this morning. So then I wake up at about 6 this morning. I take all my linen that needs to be washed because it's soaked in a $15 pack of beer, and I wash it, right? But I'm a pretty poor man. I ain't got a whole lot in terms of clothes. I got nice clothes, everyday clothes, and no clothes. That's like the chain it follows. So, what I decide to do in my infinite wisdom, all right, walk around butt ass naked. I know, but you never thought of doing that, which was a problem when I looked out the window. And I noticed there's basically a blizzard going on. Still is. It's been like 12 consecutive hours of snow just trying to murk everything on God's green earth, right? So I proceed to, try to close my windows a little more than they already are, because my windows like to leak air. And this is when I come to the resounding curiosity. Curiosity? Revelation. Those are two very different things, my friends. That they don't want to close all the way. So now there's just cold air billowing into my house. And, I'm not going to raise the thermostat. Shit's expensive. So I proceed to just basically tie a blanket around my shoulders like I'm a 4-year-old and I want a cape. And it was pretty comfy. And then I proceeded to make eggs. Like a lot of eggs. Too much eggs. My heart felt a little funky, but then I had about like a, pot and a half of coffee and I felt good. Then I hopped in the shower, got the beer smell off me because of course it spilled on myself as well. And everything was all better. So I felt all better. I don't remember where I was going. Oh yeah, hop in the shower, I shave, And now we're probably reaching the point in the video where you're asking yourself, come on, isn't this a music channel? And I would answer with a resounding kind of. See, if you pay close attention to my channel description, it says, and I quote, I record videos and you watch them, hopefully in parentheses. And that's what it is. Now, to go full unoriginal, I'm going to review this cigarette. One of the worst cigarettes I've ever had. Now, for all you Canadians out there, you can, if you smoke cigarettes, if you dabble in the fine art of consuming tobacco, you know full well red smokes are the way to go. But the best ones, rolled gold fulls, baby. That's where it's at. Those things they're smooth but strong, just like I don't know, insert analogy here, but it's very nice, very nice. I think time for another sip of beer. That's good. I drink too much, is what I'd say if I was a little bitch. Remember, if you ain't drinking, you ain't trying. All right? If you can't get drunk in the morning and still do all your responsibilities during the day, you're not a real adult. Says the unemployed man in a garage at 9 a.m. drinking. But that's just what it is, okay? I also write music, as you know, or you just stumble across this video without anything else, which then I'd recommend you go check out everything else. And subscribe and like, so you can, push my shit in the algorithm so I can one day not be poor anymore. Because, well, let's face it, even if I found a good job in Canada, let me tell you, you're still poor, all right? There's no working your way to the top anymore in this country. All right, it's just not great. Luckily, I live in one of the provinces that you have a better chance of it. Except for the fact I live pretty far away from literally anything. So, you win some, you lose some. It's pretty cold outside. So I figured I'd put on a heater in here, right? But then I get in here and I realize without the wind, it's not bad. Sure, you can see my breath, so it looks like I just am perpetually exhaling tobacco. But I promise you, it's cold in here. But it's not that cold, Now, them Texans down in Texas, they had their little cold storm not too long ago. It got to like -1 Celsius, and their pipes were bursting, and their infrastructure was shut down. They were losing their shit, brother. And I'm like, -1, that's a warm day. That's a throw on your shorts and go ice fishing, brother. That's a good fucking day right there. I probably need an ashtray. I got just the thing. Don't do this at home. Or do. I'm not your fucking mom. So you take your nice pistol, not loaded, And you stomp out your butt on the ground. And you take it and you just shove it in the chamber. Stovepipes. What do you know? But you shove it in the chamber, and then there's no evidence, right? Now here's the thing though. I'm drinking a lot of water, as it would seem. Now, last time I checked, I was supposed to be day drinking. Not day drinking water. That's for gay people. So I think it's only smart to dive into a beer. It is really hard to open these tabs when you don't have fucking fingernails and you have calluses on your hands from playing guitar every day on both sides because, you don't believe in picks, mainly because when I first started playing guitar, I lost my picks all the time because I was a child and that's what usually happens. So, I just started using my fingers instead, which I prefer. It's a softer tone. It's not so pungent. You can get away with fucking up a little bit more that way too. Oh yeah. Pair the beer with the water. Yeah, that's a good time. Now, it's been about, like a minute, not even, maybe like 45 seconds since I put out that last cigarette. So I say, it's about time for another, It's about, my hands are getting a little cold, I'll be honest with you. Like, they're getting a little stiff. Just a little stiff. But that's okay. That's okay. You just take a cigarette. This is a pro strat. You take a cigarette. You light the cigarette. And then you go pro move. Boom. It's a hand warmer now. I know, I just blew your fucking mind, didn't I? All right, your mind is all over the wall, Kurt Cobain style, He said he didn't have a gun. I'm gonna tell you. Well, he did, and his wife got a hold of it. Allegedly. Allegedly. You want to know what color Kurt Cobain's eyes were? They're blue. One blew this way, one blew that way. This is a good day, I think next time I decide to do this, because I'm definitely going to do this again. Why? Because I'm going to do it anyway. Might as well let other people enjoy the experience with me, okay? Sometimes, you might be snowed in. You can't get to the liquor store. You can't get to the gas station, pick up a pack of smokes and some beer. So you're sitting there fiending, but you can't do anything about it. So the best thing to do is share that experience with a stranger you've never met. It's the best thing since antidepressants. That's the thing, right? You go to a doctor. They find out you're depressed. They try to push medication on you, and they tell you to quit drinking and quit smoking. Because then, you can't use alcohol to treat that problem, because then when you don't have it, it's going to make it worse. But you know what else gets worse when you don't have it? The antidepressants. So really, I could have fun while being happy, or I could be fake happy while not being happy. Something to think about. You gotta dive deep. You gotta really, really think about these things. It's very important. Very, very important to take care of your mental health. And the best way to do that is substance abuse. Remember that. You can't smoke in a therapist's office. Remember that. Other people, they drink recreationally, every weekend or so, they'll go out with the lads, they'll have a drink or two, play some pool at their local tavern. But that's not going to do anything for you. Then you got to go all week sober, just living life. No. What is a life to live without substances? And that's what you got to ask yourself. My hands are getting quite cold. Probably because there's metal on it, which is taking away. Well, here's the thing. Fun fact. Metal is very good at keeping you from overheating, right? So if you just go butt ass naked into Africa, but you just strap on full plate armor, you'll stay pretty cool. But you put any padding under that, you're going to overheat and die. Why? I don't know. I'm not a fucking scientist. Do I look like scientist material to you? If you said yes to that, I don't know. God bless you. God bless your soul. You know, I don't know what government facilities put in these cigarettes. All right. But they're harsh sometimes and they're smooth other times. And really, it's just a gamble, which is fine because, well, let's just say gambling is a good pastime, especially when paired with beer. Now, you might be asking yourself, now, Cohen, strange man on the internet, you seem to know your stuff about alcohol. What could I do to make beer more enjoyable if I don't like beer? One, I'd say grow a pair of balls, respectfully. Or if you're a woman, grow a pair of balls, respectfully. But the best way to do is you take your cigarette and you just put a little ash in there. All right, put a little ash in there, mix it around, get all that carbon in there, all that charcoal, left over. It's good anti-acid. It's also good anti-poison, anti-venom, I don't know, whatever it's called. And then you just 10 out of 10 gourmet. Gordon Ramsay could not make anything close to the great flavor of this beer. Let me tell you. It's just not comparable to anything. It is the single greatest time. But anyway, when I do this again, I think next time I do this, I gotta buy the cheapest bottle of vodka I can find. I think that's the step up from here. All right, now that we've scratched the surface, I think it's time to go to the moon. You know what I'm saying? Atmosphere who? Okay, I'm not going to be blocked in by something I can't see or smell or touch. No. I will go as far as I want. All right? You know, they put so many cancer warnings all over cigarettes here in the less great white north. All right, it's gotten way worse over the past 10 years. Wonder why? If you know history, you know why. They put them on there to help, maybe coerce people to not smoke. It's the same reason they banned like menthol cigarettes and flavored tobacco in most cases, right? You can still find them, all right, Allegedly, a lot of gas stations will just still sell like, flavored like cigarillos and stuff like that, right? But I don't know why they think it's going to stop people from smoking cigarettes. Like you meet any cigarette smokers here in Canada area, right? They collect the different cancer pictures on packs like it's fucking Pokemon cards. Okay, like they're one time I went to a gas station. It was like a little hut outside of a grocery store. It was like part of the grocery store, but it's just like a little booth, right? I walk in there, right? I asked for Pall Mall Bolds. I was in a bold mood, okay? And she asked, do you want the dying baby or the flaccid cigarette? And I was like, you know what? I haven't had a dead baby in a while. So I chose the dead baby. And let me tell you, okay? Dare I say the dead baby is probably, well, I guess not the dead baby, but like the very ill, the preemie baby, basically dead at that point, right? There's no way that baby was fine. I say it's one of the best, other than like, the picture of like a heart, just like in a glove. Very nice, very nice. Or that like really old one from way back in the day that had like that, just that lady, but like they'd have like pictures of like a bad eye next to a good eye on her face, and then her like jaw was all fucked, but the rest of her face was fine. Some top tier picture graph there. If anyone wants a business idea, make like playing cards just with all the different cancer warnings that you find yourself seeing here in Snow, Mexico. But dare I say, I would much rather they just go back to pleasant packaging. Like down in the States. Most of my viewers are in the States, so you guys got it right. You just make some pretty packaging. It's a good time. Over here, we're not allowed to have a good time. Every pack looks the same, and it's kind of not fun. Kind of not great. Like it's not really off-putting to see, bad things on a pack of cigarettes, it's not going to stop me from smoking, but I mean, I'd prefer it wasn't, like, for example, this one, you got gangrene, all right, gangrene, a nice little dead toe, we've all been there, you don't need toes, just lob them off if that happens. all right, and learn how to walk again, all right? It's fine, okay? People lose both their legs, get 2 prosthetics. Those prosthetics don't have movable toes, all right? And they balance just fine. So I don't think I need toes. I don't think toes are a necessary feature of the human body. I think we could very much do without them. Fingers, on the other hand, no, because how are you going to open beer and smoke cigarettes, you know? Speaking of which, you know what's better than drinking at 9 in the morning? Now, like 10 something, all right? Chain smoking while you do it, okay? Some people just smoke, you know, 1 or 2 cigarettes. Not me, brother, okay? I will kill a pack in an hour if I feel like it. And I've done it many times. I used to work as a swamper for a sewer infrastructure investigation company. So basically, you know, I worked for basically, you know, like the hydrovac trucks. You go in, you flush out the sewers, and then some camera guys come, and then they go and they camera the sewer, you know, for like new productions or old ones, right? And doing that, dude, I was smoking like 2 packs of cigarettes a day, brother. I mean, you know, any of you have worked in a similar trade, or really any blue collar trade, and you smoke, you're just smoking to the high heavens, brother. You don't stop. Okay, it's addicting, especially when, you know, the operator you're with is also smoking as much as you are. Dude, you see him light a smoke, and you're like, this old guy's got it. This old guy has got the right idea. You know it's cold when a Zippo lighter struggles to light. Could also be it's low on fluid because I procrastinate everything, but that is not the case here. Okay, it is through no fault of my own. Nothing is through any fault of my own. Always blame somebody else. Never take accountability. Okay, go full woman. Never take accountability. You'll be happier. Only take accountability for being a legend, drinking water, and drinking beer. That you can take all the accountability in the world for, because that is legendary activities, and that is what matters. That is what matters, let me tell you. Now, I shaved this morning, you know, because it'd been a good few weeks since I haven't, right? But, you know, the battery on my electric razor wasn't charged, right? And I didn't feel like charging it. So I pulled a homeless guy move, okay? I took scissors first, trimmed off a bunch of it, and then I took my nice Henson razor. Look them up, go buy one. They're pretty fucking sick. Pretty affordable. You buy a razor, it's good forever. That's a good time. Good fucking time right there. All right? And then I shave up. I had to lather my face with shaving cream like 3 times, brother. Let me tell you, that shit just didn't want to go, dude. I threw a new razor in that razor, too. I had some thick hair, all right? I'm native, all right? We grow wiry hair. Wiry, greasy-ass hair, all right? Why? I couldn't tell you why, but we do. All right? So that's what I did. I also slept getting out of the shower, which was comfy, you know. I do a lot of dumb shit in a day, and there's many scenarios where I might just die and there's just no one around. I'll just find my body like a week later and be like, oh, well then, you know. Like, I choke on food like a lot. I don't know why. I just like don't chew because I don't think about chewing. So, you know, I just let my primal instincts just chew, and they just kind of, you know, skip like 100 of them and just try to swallow as soon as possible. But, you know, that's why, you know, eggs are a good food. It's kind of hard to choke on an egg, you know. You can swallow a whole egg whole, and you'd be fine. You'd be fine. You know, it's slippery enough, you know. But no, every morning you make some eggs, all right? Here's the pro strat, okay? If you want to have a good breakfast, start your day off right, all right? Wake up early, throw on some tunes, all right? Fry up some eggs in butter or lard. No oil, like seed oils and all that bullshit, all right? Not nearly as good for you, okay? You want to take eggs, baste them in butter, cook the hell out of them, season them, all right? You got to keep the yolk intact. That's very important, all right? You cook 4 eggs, all right? And you toast 4 pieces of bread, okay? And you take that bread, lather it with mayonnaise and maybe some hot sauce, okay? And then you throw some, like, slices of ham on that bitch. And then you put some eggs on that bitch, and then you put the other bread on it, and then cut her diagonally. Anyone who cuts their sandwiches horizontally or vertically, you're wrong. You got to cut it diagonally, okay? It's just better, you know? It's almost like there's more sandwich. It's more, you know, it's like you don't want to eat a square piece of pizza. You want to eat a triangular slice of pizza, you know? It's just a better experience, you know? How many times have I said, you know? Just a better experience. Oh no. Now I can't wait till this weather this cold little Canadian front goes away. It's been warm for like a couple weeks, It's looking like we were going to have an early spring. I was all for it. And then I wake up this morning, and then I look at the forecast, and for the next like 2.5 weeks, it's just going to be freezing again, and then it's going to be warm finally, around like, early March, which is good. It's going to get warm like the day before my birthday in March, so that's good. On my birthday, I can go out and have fun and not be stuck in a dusty-ass, dingy-ass garage, which is good. I'm excited for summertime. I'm going to do stuff like this out in nature, maybe go fishing. Fishing would be lit. You guys want to see me get drunk and fish. Like, imagine this, but I'm fishing. Catch some walleye, catch some pike, having a good time. That is some strong-ass fucking wind. Can you hear that? Probably, because I can. It's not really how that works, but that's how I'm going to pretend it works. Cigarettes are great, It's always funny. The people that will tell you not to smoke are the same people that vape, all right? Now, don't get me wrong. Both are not great for you. But here's the thing, okay? The consequences on your lungs from smoking tobacco can heal over time if you eventually decide to stop. With vaping, it's not the case. Whatever damage vaping does to your lungs, it stays forever. Not saying I don't vape occasionally. All right, let me tell you, I go out drink with the boys, and I'm in an enclosed area where I can't smoke a cigarette. One of them's shuffling out a vape. I'm just going to, since we're good friends, I'm just going to hold out my hand, and a vape's going to end up in my hand. And I'm going to put it in my mouth, and I'm going to suck really, really hard. Really hard. I'm going to suck till completion. But vapes, man, they dude, I've smoked cigarettes for about a decade now, okay? I've been smoking for a long time, ever since I was a wee young lad. I picked up some bad habits at an early age. Well, what people would call bad habits. Let me tell you, I'm having a great time. But vaping, you do it long enough, you can feel it build up. You get so much phlegm, you can feel it in your lungs. It's just not a good time. You cough more. Same with people that smoke weed. They're coughing like their life depends on it. And they've been, you find a pot smoker that's been smoking for like 20 years. They're still hacking up along every puff of a joint. It's like, that's pussy shit, dude. I've seen motherfuckers, down a whole cigarette in one drag. Not even a cleared throat, Even I can't do that, all right? And I'm somewhat of a legend, I can smoke like a son of a bitch. But I have my limits. And that's what matters. I have my limits. Gotta drink some water, Getting a little dehydrated. Can't be having that when you're smoking and drinking. You got to stay hydrated. For all of the probably about 20 people that are going to see this, thanks for getting to this point. Why don't you hit subscribe? Please. I beg of you. I'll French kiss you if you want. Please. Or don't. Whatever. Could get a real job. I'm trying. It's hard out here. It's rough out here, All the good jobs are taken by people, well, who weren't born in the same place as me. We'll put it that way, That brings me to a separate topic, Other Canadians that end up seeing this. Newfies, good old folks from Newfoundland. Let me tell you, they're always the most interesting of people. Their accent is very fun, especially when they drink. It gets so heavy, like a block of tungsten, just the heaviest thing you'll ever hear, right? And they always talk about how, Newfoundland is the greatest province. Now, don't get me wrong, I've never been there, but from what I've seen, it's very pretty. I have many friends who are Newfie. They tell me all about times over there. They have fun over there. Let me tell you, they have a really good time. But they claim it's the greatest province. Now, obviously I'm biased. I was born and raised in Alberta, and I'm here to this day. So I will always claim this is the greatest province, As well as we don't have a provincial sales tax, so that's pretty awesome, But they all come over here for work, to work on the rigs or whatnot, and you ask them why, and they're like, well, there's just no good work in Newfoundland, unless you got a big, fishing company. So is it really the best province if there's no work to be done, no career to be had, no money to be earned? Now, say you're rich, I say it's one hell of a place to go. There's hardly any people. Now, this is all referring to the island of Newfoundland. Mainland can go suck a long one, for all I care. Mainland Newfoundland, it's not real Newfoundland. I'm sorry to say it, folks. It's just not. It's just not real Newfoundland. You got to go to the island. That's what I'm told. That's what I'm told, and I will believe the people who are from there rather than me. I've been out of Alberta one time, and that was just to go to Saskatchewan. And the best way I can describe Saskatchewan is basically, where is everything? It's just flat. It's windy as hell. I remember when I went there, we stopped at Tim Hortons to get some coffee. I stepped outside for a cigarette, and I spent about 20 minutes trying to light the damn thing because it was so dang windy, And I learned something. They got a saying over there. They say you could watch your dog run away for several days. That's pretty funny, and dare I say pretty accurate, I hear in northern Saskatchewan there's a lot of trees, though, so it's not so flat up there, but in the rest of it, my God, I grew up in southern Alberta, it's hilly there, it's flat, but it's hilly. There's hills, it's like bumpy flat, it's like cottage cheese, But Saskatchewan, it's just flat, dude. Like the amount of, the only trees you see in most Saskatchewan are just lining farmers' fields, just to, keep the wind from blowing off the topsoil. That's why usually, if you don't know why, usually there's, thick trees or something around like giant farmers' fields. And that's to, keep wind from blowing off the topsoil. I know this because I grew up on a farm. It was a great time. Worked there for a while. It was a good time. No complaints, I must say. I must say, it was an absolutely great time. Great time, killer time, fantastic time. I'm not going to lie to you, it was one of the times. I gotta piss. I'll be back. Oh, I feel better now. I stepped outside for that brief minute to, go into my humble abode to, relieve myself. And it's still windy out there. Very windy, very snowy, very cold, not warm, one bit. But that's okay. It's nice in here. It's nice in my house. It doesn't gotta be nice outside, For all I care, I ain't got nowhere to be for like a week, Well, nowhere I need to be. I'm probably gonna go places. It's gonna suck. I don't have a driver's license. Not that it stopped me in the past, but, when road conditions are iffy, maybe not push your luck on that one, But, so I gotta walk everywhere, which is fine. I'm in a small town, and I mean small. Like from the furthest away points, you get from one point to the other in like 30 minutes most walking. And that's if you're taking your time, So a very small place, Everywhere I need to go is within 10-minute walk, but. And by where I need to go, I mean the liquor store, the gas station, maybe a buddy's place, to go have a whale of a time, have a bonfire, listen to some interesting music. It's always a good time. Always a good time. Man, that beer, man, it's just, it's a good time, Love me some good beer. Now, dare I say, before this video gets too long, because there's barely any of you that got to this point, all right? So we're not going to stretch it, Not going to stretch past our point. We're shooting 45 minutes max, all right? So I say I have another smoke, a few more sips of beer, and I think that'll be the end of the recorded history of my drinking endeavors, because, well, it's just the way it should be. So we'll grab a cigarette, good old smoky smoke, put it in my mouth like so. Grab my Zippo lighter. I can't feel my hands. Lighter up. I'm going to let you know a little tip, all right? If you're ever smoking a cigarette, that first little bit, don't inhale that. Take a couple puffs, and then you can start inhaling, because that's where the glue is to keep it from just falling out. If you ever rolled your own cigarette, they got to do something to keep it in there, and that's glue. Yeah, I know, it's priceless coming from, cigarettes as a whole being full of chemicals and various other things, as well as just smoke in general. But I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to put anything in my body that's not absolutely necessary, okay? Beer, cigarettes, very necessary, okay? You can't live without them, okay? You can't. Find someone who doesn't drink or smoke or anything, they're boring, okay? What they do for fun is like a Pilates class. That looks boring as hell. I don't want to do that. That's stupid. And then you look at people that are basically homeless, but they just drink and smoke all day. They're having the time of their life. Okay? And I think we can learn something from that. that also puts me on the note of weed smokers, you know. I've dibble dabbled, you know, I've smoked some weed in my day. All right, my best buddy is one hell of a pothead, okay? They always like to claim, oh, weed's not bad for you, it can't hurt you. Now, is it, you know, does it have benefits, medicinal benefits? Yes, it does. Okay, so do cigarettes. You know, cigarettes help prevent Parkinson's, and I'm sure something else. That's just all I know. But weed smokers, they'll claim it's God's nectar. It's the cure to everything, and it can't hurt you one bit. You know, and you try to tell them otherwise, they will deny, deny, deny. They'd be very good in court. But the truth of it is, you're still smoking something, and in smoke there's carbon monoxide. Breathing that in for any amount of time is not great, especially considering most pot smokers smoke like it's going out of style, all right? They're just puff, puff, puff. Dude, they smoke it like it's cigarettes, you know? So, in the long run, you know, at least this doesn't decay my brain, you know? Like, you meet a severe pothead, you know? They're a little lazy, you know? They don't get up to much. You know, my buddy now, he's as, you know, I'm a functional alcoholic. He's a functioning pothead. Let me tell you, this guy, he can snap a few bowls in the morning and nothing is stopping him from doing what he needs to do. He will get baked out of his mind. He's like, you know what? Let's just go walk somewhere for the sake of it. You know, let's go do some hard physical labor. And I respect the hell out of that lad. I respect the hell out of him. Known him for a very long time. Very good guy. Very, very driven. Very dedicated. Very passionate about things he enjoys. It's great. You know, he's a very selfless guy. You know, he likes helping people. You know, he's a great guy. Great guy. Dare I say, a better man than me. Dare I say. Hydrate a little bit. Wash down the water with a little bit of brew. And it's just a good time. Now, if you guys want to know where this stuff is made. This stuff is made in Grand Prairie, Alberta. I'm surprised there's not meth in it. If you've ever been to Grand Prairie, you know what I'm talking about. Grand Prairie is probably like the, I don't know. I was going to relate it to a place in the United States for all you United States viewers. All you from any other country, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know shit about your country. I know I got some viewers from the United Kingdom. I feel bad for you. Then again, I also feel bad for people that live in the same country as me. So, you know, even to some extent, I feel bad for the United States people. But at least you guys have rights. That's pretty cool. We don't. Fun fact, here in Canada, you're not allowed to legally defend yourself. You're just not. All right? Our Charter of Rights and Freedoms say we can. The federal government says something entirely different, which, you know, that's how you know it might be time to, you know. The Americans had the right idea way back in the day, way back in the late 1700s, the 16th century, if you will. All right? They had the right idea. I'll leave it there. You know, I don't need the Fed boys, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, if you will, knocking on my door. I could do without that, you know. Don't need that stress on my life. Could very much do without. You want to know something really fun too? I'm so bored of the fact I don't even have a tripod. You want to know what's holding up my my potato right now? It's an Android phone. That's why the quality is, well, quality's putting it. You know, I'm using a DeWalt Bluetooth speaker. You know, the big one with the handle, with the phone holder in it. Yeah, that's what I'm using. It works fine. So, you know, if people ever get insanely, you know, interested in my content, say you subscribe, like, and maybe even share if you're feeling generous. If you feel like giving it to charity, and that charity is drinking and smoking very early in the day, then I can get a camera, a microphone, maybe even a tripod. You know, tripod. Then we can have some good times. Then, you know, you gotta remember, all right? You can view my content any way you want, you know, quality-wise. But just remember, you know, have a little faith. You know, you become a part of it. All right, you subscribe and you hang on for the long run. Quality can only get better. You know, as things succeed and progress in life, things only get better. In terms of content. In terms of everything else, well, I think we're all a little hopeless when it comes to society at the moment, for valid reasons. You know what? I told you guys one more smoke, but you know what? Just because I like you, hell, maybe I even love you, I have one more cigarette. One more cigarette. You know, I've said that said that thing many times. You know, usually, you know, chilling, me and my buddies. You know, we got to go our separate ways. You know, say we got work in the morning or something, right? It's like 2 in the morning. We got to get up in like 3 hours to go to work. And we're like, you know what? One more smoke. And we usually say that about 12 smokes, you know, prior. But that's just the way it should be. Remember, work's not going anywhere. Your friends might. They could die. They could die in a tragic car accident, and you'd never see them again. And let me tell you, that would suck. That would not be fun. That would not be fun at all. You know, summer in Canada gets very hot. And in the winter, it gets very cold. So I've always said that, you know, if you got to send, you know, some troops somewhere, hell, anywhere, I say your best bet to do it, send some Canadians, all right? We'll adapt to any weather just fine. Hell, we do it on the regular, you know? Sometimes it'll be midwinter, we'll go up to like fucking plus 5 degrees. That's some warm weather right there. That's a good time. Can't complain. And it drops back down to minus 30, and then you kind of want to die inside a little bit. But that's okay. At least I don't live in the UK. That would suck. Get in trouble for carrying a fucking knife. At least over here I could carry a broadsword on my back if I wanted to. And trust me, I want to. They're just fucking expensive. Which is very strange. Very strange. They'll try to ban our little 22s. They'll say we can't even, not only can we not carry pepper spray, we can't even buy it. You know, a lot of people just buy like dog spray or like, dude, even bear spray. You got to fill it a sheet when you buy it from like, say, a Canadian Tire or Cabela's or, well, that's about the only two places I can think of that sell bear spray. You got to fill your name and address and phone number and email. If they got to check your ID, you got to be an adult, which that part makes sense, you know. When I was younger, living in a small town, you got some questionable folks. I've known a lot of, you know, little miscreants, little street rats to bear spray each other, which, well, that's one way to do it, I guess. I guess your fathers didn't, you know, they weren't the most present. We'll say that much. Mine was. My father, great lad. Great lad, taught me a bunch of things, you know. At a young age, he took me hunting, taught me how to do that, and then we go hunting all the time. It's a great time. Father's a great man. You know, he used to fight forest fires in the 80s. That's pretty badass. It's a lot cooler than I'll ever be. A lot cooler. You know, so are a lot of people. But you know what? It's not about trying to be what other people are. You got to embrace who you are. It's like all these people that, you know, dress up, you know, as like maybe a line of work or like a, you know, a societal norm that they're not actually a part of, but they just want to fit in. Don't do that. You know, embrace who you are. There's enough of them, but there's not enough of you. Remember that. Remember that. It's very important that you stay true to yourself. Because if you spend all your time trying to be something you're not, all right, all the friend groups you get because of that and all the fads you get into because of that, when they fade away, what are you going to be left with? You're not even going to remember who you actually are, and you're going to be sad and alone. And that's not good. Okay? That's not good. You know who can fix that? Cigarettes, some water, some beer. You know it's cold, and these were in my fridge, and since I've been out here, they're starting to freeze. They're turning into slushies. Like when I was younger, me and my buddy that I was talking about earlier, we used to go down in the woods, have a little bonfire in like the middle of winter, be like -30, start a little fire, drink a little beer, and as we're holding the beer, it's just freezing in our hands. So you got to drink it fast, which is really fun when you go through like 224s, and then you got to walk up a slippery ass hill. To be fair, you don't remember most of it, so it makes it a little easier. But then you wake up in the morning and all your bones hurt because you fell over 72 times. It's about the only bad part about drinking with your boys around a fire. All right, that's a good time. The female mind can't comprehend. All right, but that's okay. They got whatever it is they do. Which is fine. Everyone's got their own little things. It's just, generally speaking, men have significantly more fun. Sure, we die a lot sooner, but you know what? A shorter, better life is better than a longer, boring life, in my opinion. And that's what really matters. We're all going to die, okay? We're all going to rot in the ground, all right? Might as well have fun before you do, all right? If you're just boring, you don't smoke, you don't drink to live longer, but then you're like 100 years old, you can't even walk or speak. Someone's got to wipe your own ass. I don't want to live that long. Like if I died at say 65, I'd probably be content. I'd be long enough. That's a good few decades from now. That's a good amount of time. Can't complain about it one bit. Well, that's the end of that smoke, and that's the end of this. Don't worry though. Don't get all sad. I'll do this again real soon. Real soon. And by real soon, I mean probably tomorrow or the next day. Gonna stop by a liquor store, do it with a bottle of vodka or more beer. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. And for you Americans, you lucky bastards, that your liquor and your nicotine isn't taxed to the high Jesus. Like a pack of cigarettes here costs about $20. That's cursed. And then our alcohol is very taxed. So the cheapest bottle of vodka you can find, plastic bottle, cheap ass shit, you're looking at about $13. All right, you're looking at about $13. All right, this cheap beer I bought, a 15-pack, it's $15.99 with tax. It's $18.29. And over here, that's really good. That's a good time. It's strong beer, so you get more bang for your buck. It's a good time. I can't complain. But I thank you for enjoying this experience with me. Subscribe for the love of all hell. Like if you feel like it. And comment down below what you want to see me do. What you want to see me drink. Where you want to see me drink. Same with smoking. That's all I got to say.